My ears are blessed with a TikTok meme, a sailor song, this is my dream. The kids are doing some internet stuff I finally understand. Hey, the hippest thing on TikTok right now is sea shanties. I called this.
You're hearing part of a recent episode of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where he claims to have called the ongoing sea shanty craze. And here's a February sing-along on Facebook Live.
Presumably you're in your house by yourself. Just sing whatever you want. Who's gonna know? So here we go. From Boston Harbor we set sail. The wind was blowing the devil of a gale. With our ensign set, all the Batham is in peak, and the Dolphin striker plowing up the deep with a big bow wow.
Welcome to the PEMcast, conversations and stories for the culturally curious. From the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, Massachusetts, I'm Dinah Carden. This winter's warm embrace of sea shanties on TikTok and other social media has delighted us here at PEM. Founded in 1799 by the members of the East India Marine Society, here at our museum, the sea shanty craze never ends.
Come all you young fellows that follow the sea, to me way below the man down. Now pray pay attention and listen to me. Give me some time to blow the man down.
This is David Coffin, host of the Facebook event you heard earlier, where nearly 1,000 people tuned in. Social media has been very good to David during the pandemic. He's been performing concerts on Zoom and uploading videos that go viral.
Oh, it'd be all right if we make it around the horn.
When somebody calls me and says they want to talk to me about sea shanties, I know where they found me. They went on YouTube, they punched in sea shanties, and up came Roll the Old Chariot. It's probably right at the top. I think it has more hits than any other sea shanty out there. It's like the cat video of sea shanties. Sea shanties were sung by sailors to get the work done on board these ships. So singing shanties not only established the rhythm, but it created an energy. And to have young people today, getting all caught up in the TikTok sea shanty craze is just phenomenal. They're just so hooked in. Kids are singing with people they've never met, songs they've never heard of, but why are they doing it? Because there's an energy to it.
David is a master shantyman, artist in residence with the esteemed Revels Performance Theater Group and educator of maritime life. He lives right up the coast from Salem and Gloucester and is an 11th generation coffin from the whaling coffins of Nantucket.
The original coffin, Tristram coffin, came over from Devonshire, England in 1645, landed up the road in Newbury, built a house, which still stands today. And then in 1659, he went out to Nantucket and settled out there and learned the art of whaling from the Native Americans. Most people think, white men singing sea shanties out of England. It goes much further back than that. They were work songs that enslaved people were singing in the fields in Africa and then in the West Indies, and they found their way on board ships.
Whaling learned from Native Americans. Sea shanties, taken from African work songs. Life at sea is a more complex mix than many nostalgic portrayals might have us think. Salem, for instance, was a cultural mishmash of people during the golden age of sail. The museum has records of something like 75,000 voyages departing Salem. The crew lists in ship logs reveal people born all over the world who called Salem home.
These were, useful songs to sing on a ship to establish that rhythm that was happening in the fields to keep people working. And the nature of a sea shanty is you make up verses. Some verses become popular, then the oral tradition kicks in and they start to get handed around from ship to ship to ship to ship to ship. And then they land in a pub and it becomes a pub song, or it lands in England in a parlor and it becomes a parlor song, or a parlor song becomes a sea shanty. When everyone's traveling around the world on ships, songs move along with them.
David teaches about life at sea in schools, these days over Zoom.
When I do my programs in schools, I tell kids, you can't not sing on a sea shanty. I defy you to not sing.
Singing sea shanties, I'm learning, is an inclusive activity.
The nature of a sea shanty is that they are literally for everyone. You think about who sang these songs. They weren't trained singers. The shantyman was the shantyman because he could remember the words, because he knew the songs. Or he figured out that if I know enough songs, I won't have to do the manual labor. I can stand or sit and sing. You know, that's a nice job. Sailors, obviously not trained singers, but they sang anyway, you know, because you can't help it, and it's distracting from the fact that you're walking around in a circle for hours or hauling on a line for hours. In fact, you don't want to be a trained singer to get the real authentic sound.
The music is baked right into his own DNA, says David.
It's part of our history. It's part of our heritage here in Massachusetts. Nantucket was the largest whaling port in the world back in the early 1800s, rival whaling port to New Bedford. In schools, they teach colonial history, and they never teach anything about whaling. They don't touch it. And, you know, I sort of get it, but it is part of our history. Why deny it? We should learn from it, understand it. And whaling was the biggest industry of the time. And it was also, you know, one of the most dangerous professions at the time as well.
There is a teachable moment there, for sure, about protecting wildlife. But there is another, less obvious lesson.
There's a direct tie-in to alternative sources of energy. Oil came from whales only at that point. We didn't have the technology to know it was in the ground. Should we be pulling all the oil out of the earth, or should we be thinking of other sources of energy? You know, there are infinite number of renewable sources out here, and we should be tapping into those. So there's a very close tie-in. And when you think about sea shanties, this is the really cool thing.
Well, Sally is the gal that I spliced.
1, 2, 3, pull, 1, 2, 3, pull for 4 hours is going to be pretty boring. So singing shanties not only established the rhythm, but it created an energy. And you want your crew to be energized to stamp around a capstan for 4 hours. And these are songs with a purpose. So a song that creates energy is pretty important.
David's entire life changed. This energy came to him. Heck, his family's roots were revealed to him when he picked up a small instrument called the concertina.
And that brought me to the maritime music, because it was very often found on board a ship. Because they're small, you know, you can't bring your Steinway.
A concertina has expanding bellows and buttons and looks like a small accordion.
They're small and they're very loud. So having them on board ship, out in the wind, you could still hear it. But it was through the concertina that I learned my whole family history. I had no idea that we were ship captains and whalermen and harpooners. I had no idea that an ancestor of mine was involved in the Boston Tea Party. So one of the things I get across to kids is you can learn history from any number of places. And there is an enormous amount of history to be learned in these old songs, these traditional songs. They tell a story.
Can you describe the scene where we're standing right now?
We are overlooking Good Harbor Beach and the remnants of a storm that came through a few days ago. The surf has settled down just enough so that the local surfers are willing to come out. They actually closed the road on the back shore because the waves were coming right over the breakwater there. But we're looking out on Thatcher Island, Twin Lights over there in Rockport, and then Salt Island right off the coast. And the surfers are out today, and the parasailers are out there. So it's a nice gray day here on the back shore of East Gloucester. There's shanties where there are verses of rounding the horn and not making it, or you'll curse your mother for having you, because, you know, you're just holding on for dear life.
You have failed, you have failed, you have failed.
Standing, looking out over the edge of a cliff down at the roiling sea that day, I felt a twinge of seasickness and also like holding on for dear life.
Do you think people got swept up during the pandemic, or have been swept up by the idea of, oh, if I could just be out on a ship, you know, we could all be tested and would be like free of the pandemic?
Well, I don't know. You know, I wouldn't necessarily want to be out on a boat today. Big ship in these waves, you're going to be rocking and rolling all over the place. I think a lot of people think it sounds really wonderful, romantic, and cool, but those are the people who've never done it.
Melville discussed it. It's a way to escape. And there is a essential sense that there is a freedom in that, which in fact doesn't really exist on shipboard.
The renewed interest in shanties has much to do with romanticizing the whole seafaring experience, says Mary Malloy, a classically trained musician and performer. Mary taught American maritime history and culture at the Sea Semester program out of Woods Hole, Massachusetts.
I mean, a ship is about the least democratic place you will ever find.
What do you say, boys?
Heave-ho! First we go to Hawaii shore, then up to Alaska, then back to Hawaii, China, Brazil, then Alaska again. The trip takes 18 months.
What?
Saturday Night Live recently explored through sea shanties how not fun life aboard a ship can be.
You know, your schedule is rigidly dictated to you. The position that you hold on board the ship is not negotiable. But nonetheless, there are those moments. I mean, I do remember one evening as the sun is going down and the stars are coming out, and balmy South Pacific night. There is something that's really very powerfully romantic about that.
It's a damn tough life, full of toil and strife. We win and undergo, and we don't give.
Sea shanties were not used in a work sense at the Sea Semester program because of the structure of the rig on those vessels, but that doesn't mean they didn't sing, says Mary.
I always started the very first class on shore by singing. And I found that one of the great things about these songs is that they're easy to sing. College-age students today have very few opportunities to actually do group singing unless they go to church. Group singing is part of human nature, I believe. And my students at Sea Semester loved to sing. So we sang songs both on shore and at sea.
Hold my best jacket. Hold away. I just lost a ticket. Hold away. Tell me holy high.
Mary's husband is Stuart Frank, a renowned authority on sailor songs and shipboard music. PEM's Phillips Library collection includes Stuart's books written on the subject. The two of them met at the Sea Music Festival in San Francisco many years ago. For 40 years, they have performed these songs, discovered in the shipboard journals and diaries of young men.
Well, again, you know, it's strange how one's path is directed along, the course of a life.
Once more we sail with the northerly gale through the ice and wind and rain. Then coconut.
One of my favorites, of course, being a native of Cape Cod, is I happened to come across this one. Cape Cod boys, they have no sleds. They slide down dunes on codfish heads. Cape Cod doctors, they have no pills. They give their patients codfish gills. Cape Cod cats, they have no tails. Heave away, heave away. Doesn't exactly remind me of home, but close.
This is Dan Lipkin, director of PEM's Phillips Library.
So we're looking at a selection of books on sea songs and shanties.
The boatswain then bawls out the word of command. Give me some time to blow the man down. Lay aft is the cry to the break.
The recording of Blow the Man Down, also the title of a 2019 film set on the coast of Maine in which David Coffin played the shantyman, recently entered our collection at PEM, allowing future generations to hear a song from our shanty music collection being performed by an expert.
It's always really fun and, of course, kind of thrilling for us to show off these kind of smaller aspects of our collections. So this one is fun.
And what's the title?
This one is called Watch Below. It's actually a publication of the Shell Petroleum Company from 1952, along with the music and the lyrics of each of these sea songs. You know, there's kind of a brightly colored painting for each of these songs. Here's a drunken sailor with a black eye and red cheeks laying on the ground, along with the song Whiskey Johnny. So these are all kind of vibrantly colored paintings. Here's more of a ballad a long time ago of a sailor holding a hand of a woman with a parasol in a long green dress.
It looks like a sad goodbye.
It does. I guess he's going to the boat to ship off. So they're saying their farewells. This is by Stanton King, who calls himself the official government shantyman.
Do you love imagining what the personal libraries look like in these homes that have these books?
I do. And I think many libraries in the area, had books like this because we have so many gifts from folks who were local. This one here, American Sea Songs and Shanties, has private signals on the end papers, including, as you can see here, the crown and shields of Salem, which is pretty fun. And I'm a flag guy, so I love the flag stuff. Some of these have slightly different lyrics from version to versions. The first couple of lines here seem to be fairly consistent. Oh, the times are hard and the wages low. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. And now ashore again we'll go. It's time for us to leave her. The grub was bad, the voyage long. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. The seas were high, the gales were strong. It's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny seems to be very much about complaining about all the things that happened on the ship that, we don't have to worry about anymore because now we're leaving. We're going to get our pay and we're going to move on. I also have a few logbooks that don't have shanties per se, but do have some poems and songs written out in them. So that's another aspect of our collections that contain this kind of material.
Of the 3,000 logbooks in our collection, Dan shows me his favorite. It's the journal of an 1840 voyage on the brig Chase. Though the cover is coming off this whaling ship log, Dan calls this the perfect logbook. Is that a watercolor?
This is a watercolor of a ship on the ocean. So you have this vibrant blue of the water, and you see the couple of masts there and all the sails. On the title page, there's actually a list of the crew, which is very important for research purposes.
Here in loopy handwriting, you can see the names of those on the boat and their positions, first, second, and third mates, boatswains, the stewards.
And every so often you have these really adorable watercolors of the ship on the water, kind of with a sunset behind it. You have a ship with a little American flag showing there. You have a look over a coastal town where you see the hills with a little cape extending into the water and the houses all clustered along the shore.
Every few pages, there is a whale stamp which looks like it's been pressed there by the little hands of a child, indicating the capture of a whale and how many barrels of oil.
It's just a really charming logbook. Stamps of dolphins all over the entry for Saturday, June 6th, 1840. More little watercolors.
In these logbooks, in addition to meticulous drawings and tiny paintings and letters and thoughts in general, you have songs.
Let's see. Great such infringement of our right with insolent disdain, yet we will loyal subjects be to any loyal king, and in defense of such a prince spend every precious thing. But when our prince a tyrant grows, a parliament grows worse. New England's blood shall never bear this ignominious curse.
I just feel like they're sitting around on the deck, they're drinking rum, they're writing this together.
That's right.
And here we are.
Here we are. I mean, this is, revolutionary times, right? So, And if these are, in fact, songs, I would have loved to have heard these actually performed, right? I mean, it's all well and good to have these things printed and in books, but really they're for performance, they're for singing, they're for hearing and experiencing.
I will sing you a capstan shanty. So basically what you want for this is you want a rhythm that's just moving forward, marching.
Mary Malloy again.
And this is one that also deals with Irish immigration, so it's a kind of an interesting song to me. In 1841, it's then me story it was begun. Me corduroy breeches I put on to work upon the railway. Filling me ori-ori-ay, filling me ori-ori-ay, filling me ori-ori-ay to work upon the railway.
A strong rhythm, easy to sing. These are the ingredients of a good shanty, says Mary.
And TikTok has provided the community for singing that's lacking in not only in the pandemic era, but in fact, I think that had been largely lost. So this has really revived them in a wonderful way. But I think that it also allows people to participate in a community that I hope will extend past the pandemic and maybe be found in live circles as well as online. I mean, there's something about adding your voice to someone else's to make these harmonic patterns. There's something very visceral about it. I'm not sure I can actually explain it, but I know what it feels like, and I think now so do millions of others.
That's our show. Thanks for listening. We'll leave you with one more bit of maritime goodness.
The life for the sailors, it got more arduous with the length of the voyage. So you could have fresh food and fresh vegetables and whatnot for the first few weeks, and then that quickly ran out. And whaling voyages tended to be really, really long. But they also came ashore at times where you could replenish. Coming ashore in some tropical paradise, and the ships would be met by people from the islands who would paddle out in canoes to trade with them.
The conversation you're overhearing is Dan Finnemore in our Maritime Gallery. The tour is for Chef Bill Collins. Our chef friend is making a new line of maritime-themed chocolates for Harbor Sweets of Salem. The conversation included motifs like scrimshaw and sailors' tattoos, flavors from the spice trade like cloves, cinnamon, and nutmeg, as well as other things the Salem sailors would have traded like coffee and tea, Madeira, and rum.
But at the end of the day, I'm probably going to eat any chocolate that's handed to me, and there are other elements of it that appeal. The marketing, the packaging, the shape, the color, all of that stuff.
Located along the harbor in Salem, Harbor Sweets was founded in 1973. Each year, close to 250,000 packages are sold and shipped all over the U.S. and to far-flung locations such as Switzerland and Japan. Look for the new chocolate line to be sold in the PEM shop and online at pem.org, as well as a new stock of sea shanty books for your singing pleasure. This episode was produced for the Peabody Essex Museum by me, Dinah Carden. It was edited and mixed by Perry Hallinan. Concertina music for this episode by Stephen Artson, Lobo Loco, and David Coffin. The PEMcast is generously supported by the George S. Parker Fund. Stay tuned for part 2 as we explore the relationship between sea shanties and the environment. We will introduce you to a current maritime exhibition at PEM, as well as one coming up this summer, plus our new Climate and Environment Initiative. Thanks for listening.
We'd be all right if the wind was in our sails. We'd be all